Hi, and welcome to a VATAS training video. Today we will cover Memo of Service Level Expectations. Will be a comprehensive look for payroll, for part-time physicians, for timekeepers, and supervisors. The objectives today will be how to establish and reconcile a case for part-time physicians. You must start the memo on the first day of the pay period. You cannot establish a new case unless the previous case has ended. Cases cannot exceed 1 year and/or 26 pay periods. Subsidiary timesheets and how to efficiently manage them. Processing subsidiary timesheets are as crucial as regular timesheets. Subsidiary timesheets must be completed in a timely manner every single pay period. Otherwise, manual reconciliation may be required. We will also cover timesheet posting procedures, the certification process, and how to put in a leave request. These are some of the best practices that we would recommend. Create an MSLE case in a timely manner. Since you cannot backdate an MSLE case, you can always start one ahead of time. You may also want to strictly monitor the part-time physician's subsidiary timesheets. If an MSLE expires, it locks up the subsidiary timesheet, which then can lead you to manually do paper timesheets. To avoid this situation, just pay close attention to the expiration date or even set some reminders. So now we are logged in like a station payroll admin. You can do the same thing using a station payroll technician or a duty station payroll technician. In here, we'll go to the very bottom where it says part-time physicians and right underneath it where it says Memo of Service Level Expectations. In here, we can see that we already have one employee who has an expired memo, and in this case, we want to add a new memo. So we will hit Add Memo. From here, we'll start from the top, and we'll put in Search for Employee so we can find the employee that we are looking for. In here, we need to put in the full last name. So in this case, this would be part-time. And the first name will be physician. And we will hit search. This will pull up several part-time physicians, and the one that I want is going to be the one at the very top. In your case, you will actually see your employees' names and not these dummy accounts that I have. And you'll hit select, and we have the employee selected. The start date of the memo must be the very first day of the pay period. So in this case, we'll click the little calendar and we'll click on the first day of the pay period. The end date must be the very last day of the pay period. But note that these memos cannot exceed 1 year or 26 pay periods. So in this case, if it was going to be for 1 year, we would go all the way into the next year and end it on the very last day of the pay period. So in this case, we'll click all the way to March of 2020, and it would be the 28th. The agreed upon hours will be the total agreed upon hours that they have on their memo. So in this case, it would be for 780 hours. And the remarks is where we can input some information to tell us how many hours that they would have per pay period. So in this case, we would say that they would have 30 hours, and we would multiply that by 26 pay periods. So this memo goes for a year, and that would total up to 780 hours. And after we are done filling in this information, we will hit save. Now that we hit save, we see the banner at the very top where it says successfully saved the memorandum. From here, we can go back to Memo Service Level Expectations, and we can see that this part-time physician has a new active Memo of Service Level Expectation. If there was any issues with this memo, what we would do now is, let's say we forgot that it was supposed to be for 520 hours instead, so maybe we got some wrong information. We would go back into the part-time physician, And we will edit this by hitting delete. You do not want to hit terminate. Terminate would make this a permanent record in VATAS. So if you are within the pay period that you have created the case and you need to make any changes, you want to hit delete. We will delete the memo, and we see the banner at the very top where it says successfully deleted the memo. So in this case, since we had made a mistake, we'll run through the entire process again and put it in correctly. So we will hit add memo. We will search for our employee again. In these fields, you can also use the asterisk, but in this case, I'm going to use the entire last name and the entire first name. So we'll hit search, and mine's going to be the very top, and we'll hit select. And again, this must be the first day of the pay period where the memo starts. So we'll select the calendar and select the first day of the pay period. And it's also very important that your HR staff has done their part in getting you their memo. So we'll click all the way to March the 28th. And the agreed upon hours are actually going to be 520. And the remarks, we can put in the same remarks as before for 20 hours times 26 pay periods. And that would equal to 520 hours. Or you can put in any other remarks that you would like. And in this case, we will hit save. And we see that banner again where it says successfully saved the memorandum. So we are back in the memo service level expectation. In here, we will cover some of the buttons that we have here at the bottom. The first one will be view report. In the view report, if you click on it, you can see how on target or off target this employee is. Obviously, there's going to be negative hours or positive hours if they have not worked or if they have worked more. Again, there's not anything that you can do here as far as payroll admin goes. You can just view this information. So if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we can hit cancel, and cancel will take us back. So now we will terminate a memo. First, you must select one that was active, and we can see here that this memo is active. Before you can terminate though, you will have to put in a termination date. If we hit terminate without a date, it'll tell us you must specify a termination date when terminating the memo. In this case, the termination date must be the end of the pay period. So in this case, we will click the little calendar and put in the end of this pay period. And we will terminate this memo early. If you forget to put in remarks, it will tell you that you need to put in remarks while terminating the memo. So in this case, we can put in, this was a test case, or whatever other remarks you might have. We have successfully terminated the memo. Now that we have terminated this case, we can go in and reconcile it. Note, when we reconcile, this would only be reconciling within VATAS. We would still need to go in into DSIPs and reconcile it over there as well. So in here, all we need to do is go into reconcile and click on the button. And VATAS will give us a message saying memo is successfully reconciled. So now we are logged in like a timekeeper. As a timekeeper, all you need to do is go in and post time for your MSLE or Memo Service Level Expectation part-time physician. So in this case, we'll go into Select Employees, and we'll find our MSLE or part-time doctor. So the part-time doctor will have two timesheets. The one that you focus on is not going to be the one with the S. The S means subsidiary, and that is the one that the part-time doctor will fill out. You will fill out the other one. So we'll go into the other timesheet, and all you need to do is post time as you would anyone else. So we'll go into this date, and if they were here, we will hit Apply Tour. And if we pretend for a moment and go into next week and say that this is the end of the pay period, we'll Apply Tour here. And we'll scroll down and hit Validate. And the timesheet has validated successfully. And that is all you would need to do as a timekeeper. So now we are logged in as our part-time physician. If we actually go into Timesheet in here, Timesheet will bring up the timesheet that the timekeeper fills out. We cannot do anything here. We can only view it. If we go back to our Employee main menu, the one that we would fill out would be Subsidiary Timesheet. As a part-time physician, this is the timesheet that you would fill out, and you can see here that the options are available. In here, if we were working Tuesday, all we need to do is hit Apply Tour. And that's all you would need to do as far as posting your time. But let's say that you worked some extra hours. Say on Wednesday, you worked an extra 5 hours. What you would do here instead is manually put in that time by hitting Add Work Time. When you hit Add Work Time, it would input a blank entry, so you'd input everything manually. In this case, the start time might be, let's say, noon. And the stop time would be 5 o'clock p.m. Make sure that you put in a meal time if you had more than 6 hours. If this was all we worked, we would scroll down and hit Save to save that entry. But let's say that we have already met our contracted hours and we do not need to show up on next Tuesday. In that case, we would go to Tuesday. And in here, we wouldn't put anything. Instead, we will scroll down a little bit. And in this second section, we have a tab that says Remarks. So we can go into the Remarks. And in the pay period remarks, we can put in here 49 or 0409 already met contracted hours. And that's what you would put in if you have already worked your contracted hours for this pay period. In this case, we would again hit Save to save those remarks. When we are completely done, we would go into Schedule to make sure that we have posted everything that should be on our schedule. And then we would scroll down and hit Validate. Now it will bring us to this timesheet summary. In here, we can review everything before we affirm it. So we see our timesheet, we scroll down, we see our schedule, any leave requests, we see a snapshot of our leave data, our timesheet profile, and at the very bottom, we see the activity log as well as affirm. So now that we have affirmed, it will say timesheet validated successfully. So now we are done with this timesheet. All we have to do now is go back to our Employee main menu and review anything else that we would want to review or log out. Once again, these are some of the best practices for an MSLE or a Memo of Service Level Expectation. Make sure that these cases are created in a timely manner. You can create a case ahead of time. You cannot, however, backdate an MSLE case. This also means that HR needs to do their part in putting in all the information. Also, strictly monitor the part-time physician subsidiary timesheets. If an MSLE expires, it would lock up the timesheet, and then you might have to do a paper timesheet into DSIPs. This concludes the VATAS MSLE training video. Please check our SharePoint for any updated documentation and videos.